John Fredericks Radio Network. Guess who's with us now? He's a little fired up today. He's one of the main speakers at the big rally tomorrow with Newport News because it's in his district, kind of, kind of in the area. Scott Taylor with us, trying to get back to Congress, going up against one-termer Elaine Luria. Has anybody heard from her about these riots in Richmond and SCOTUS and packing the Supreme Court and anything's going on? Haven't heard a peep out of her. Joining us now, Scott Taylor. Scott, great to have you.
John, I'm fired up as well, man. It's good to hear from you. Looking forward to tomorrow.
Hey, Scott, you're gonna win this race. We've seen your polling that's been out. You guys are looking good. Trump's going to win the 2nd district probably by 5 or 6. I think you're right there with him. Tell us about your campaign right now.
Things are going fantastic, as you alluded to. Our polls are strong. The feedback we're getting in the neighborhood, because of course we're door knocking. The feedback is fantastic. I just got a text message this morning from a girl I've known for years who's never voted, and she's very I always thought she was very liberal. Spent a lot of time out in California, lived in Los Angeles, and she said, "You'll be proud of me. I've registered to vote for the first time, and I'm going to be with Trump." And I'm like, whoa. I mean, I'm telling you, people are underestimating what you have said, and they're underestimating what's happening out there in the electorate. The feedback we're getting is fantastic. As you said, Elaine Luria has been absent and unaccountable and ineffective and hasn't said anything about the most important things that are going on in our lives right now. And so I think we're going to win big. I talked to the president last week. He was fired up. He was hilarious and fired up, and he told me, Virginia's in play. We are making a play for Virginia.
Well, look, that's why he's coming to Virginia. Of course, the fake news said, Virginia's not in play. He's just coming to Virginia because he wants to reach North Carolina voters. Newport News, I guess it's fascinating to me that all of a sudden Newport News becomes a media market for what? Greenville, North Carolina. It's 3.5 hours away. The fake news is so asinine out there. They always do this to us. They're like, Virginia's not in play, nothing to see here. Now we got a poll just out today, which is a fake poll anyway because it's so skewed on the Democrats' way. It shows Biden up by only 5 over Trump. If the Christopher Newport University polls got him by 5, I know it's tied.
No, there's a lot. That phenomena about folks not saying that they're supporting the president, but they actually are. It's true. I hear it all the time. People just don't want to say anything, and he's always soft in the polls, right? Because people don't want to talk about it. But I'm telling you, and you know what? Even if the president, is coming here and there's some media market that reaches North Carolina, great. It's brilliant, right? You're in Virginia and you're hitting North Carolina, so good. Good on him for being able to do that if that's the case. But he told me directly on the phone last week, spoke to him for about 10 minutes, and he said, Virginia's in play. We're making a play for it. Your governor's crazy. And look, for some of the stuff that's happened here with these lockdowns, the inconsistency and lack of leadership. The governor was tweeting about social justice when Richmond was literally burning. The American flag was ordered down from the Capitol grounds of Virginia the day before Independence Day because it was supposedly a target for protesters. What in the hell? I mean, that's un-American. So I think that there's a groundswell that's happening, and you're not seeing that in the polls. And Larry Sabato and the other folks that are tweeting all the time and talk about this stuff, and they're not talking to people on the ground. You know what I mean? Like, they're not out there personally talking to people and listening to them. Because I'm here, I'm talking to people, as you know. I'm not talking all the time to the hard Republicans or hard Democrats. I'm right down the middle talking to soft R's, soft D's, undecided. And I'm telling you, the feedback is very positive for our side and for the president.
Give us an example when you're out knocking on doors. And by the way, the Biden campaign and the Luria campaign, they don't knock on doors because it doesn't fit their COVID, be afraid you're all going to die narrative. So as you're knocking on doors, Scott, and I know you are a door knocker. You go out there, you love to talk to people. That's why you've been successful in politics. It's one of your signatures. As you're talking to people, and first of all, when you go up to a door, is there reticence to engage because of COVID? How has that experience been? Not
one time. I didn't door knock in the primary because I was concerned about that, and obviously everybody was, of course. And I started door knocking just over a month ago, And not one time has anybody said anything to me like, why are you here? I mean, quite frankly, I think people are hungry for interaction. They've been hunkered down. And what I do, I go and knock on the door, and then I walk back about 10 feet, and I give them space and talk to them. And people are just as appreciative now, if not more, than they have ever been when I'm door knocking. And let me give you a quick anecdote, a story. I was in Pembroke area, and I'm speaking to there was a lady sitting outside. I start talking to her, and she said, "I don't like the president." She goes, she's a Democrat. She said, "I don't, why should I vote for you over Luria?" And of course, I told her that, and she's like, "I don't like the president, how he acts and stuff like that." And then she says, "But here's the but I don't like this lawlessness. It scares me. For the first time in my life, I'm scared about that people aren't saying anything when there's these riots and vandalism." She said, "I'm scared." And she said, "And I'm in my 60s. My husband and I, we rely on our 401k." And she's like, "It was going gangbusters when you were in Congress and the president was there." And she says, and it's taking a hit because of COVID. And she's not confident that obviously Biden's plans or lack thereof are going to be able to get that stock, her 401k back up. And when I left there, she was definitely voting for me, and I think she was voting for the president too.
Well, that's right. Well, that's just one example of many, Scott Taylor, that I think you'd be able to give us the reaction. And people, people, they don't like the president's tweets. They don't like his personality, whatever. But it's turning for him because the alternative is Joe Biden.
You got a binary choice, right?
It's a binary choice. And so that's what's coming down. Scott Taylor with us, running for Congress, 2nd District. Where's Elaine Luria been? I've not heard a peep out of her.
I don't know. I mean, look, she wouldn't even have debated. She wasn't even responded to organizers for debates for over 2 months. If it wasn't for the tremendous pressure that our campaign and people in the neighborhood and just reaching out to her and saying, "Why aren't you debating? Why aren't you debating?" It's not that you're not entitled to 2 more years. You got to fight for it. You got to tell us what you've done. You got to talk about the future, what you're going to do, and defend your record, right? That is a given for people. And she just nowhere, man, nowhere. Hasn't said anything about important issues that affect us every day, the vandalism, all that stuff, the lawlessness. She's been nowhere. SCOTUS, as you said, except for just calling Republicans hypocritical. She's not who she said she was 2 years ago. She's exactly who we said she was, and she's been totally ineffective and horrible with constituent services. And look, we're going to call her out for it every single day. And now all they're doing, she's hiding just like Biden, and she's spending tremendous amounts of money coming in here, running the nastiest campaign in Virginia. And that's it. She has nothing to say positive. She just wants to tear me down, and I just think people see right through it.
I mean, the number of ads that she's running against you, it's just all nasty, vicious ads. She hasn't said about one thing she's actually done or going to do. Look, we all know that people do negative advertising because, history shows it works. But, how far is it going to get her now in the 2nd District? She's behind in the polls. She's got to drag you down. She has nothing positive to say about anything. She has no record. Her constituent service is a clown show. I mean, it's the worst, I think, in America.
You know this. They are. I mean, definitely by far the worst in Virginia and probably the worst in America. I mean, it's a fraction of what we were able to accomplish to help people, which means hundreds of people if not thousands, in our district are walking around here not being helped. And we saw she was up on TV in June for a congressional campaign with positive ads first, and then also attack ads against me. And we were like, why is she up in June with positive ads? And then of course we saw her approval ratings in the 30s. She's not well liked. She hadn't done anything. She hadn't been anywhere. And so 2 months later, those ads, those millions of dollars of Pelosi money, did not work. She's still not liked. She's still not high approval. And the negatives are going up. So their only path to victory in our estimate is just to savage me. That's it. So that's why I just had the nasty ads. I just don't think it's going to work.
Well, because it's too much. I mean, it kind of, you know what it reminds me of, Scott Taylor? All full disclosure, we backed you in your primary against Randy Forbes 100%. I went all in on that.
Yeah, I won.
I went all in on it and got a lot of abuse over it, but I did the right thing. And but at the end, La Savita and the Forbes campaign remember they were running those really negative, nasty ads on you at the end? They backfired. They were so nasty that people just turned off by them. And I think that's what's going to happen to Luria. I mean, I get negative ads if they want to point something out, but when it's barraged that way at the end, people are like, it's just icky. And I don't think they're sticking, and I think it's going to backfire just like Randy's ads did. Scott.
I agree with you, and that's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm seeing posted on social media and stuff, of course, except for, Democrat partisans. But, normal people are like, this is crazy. And then when I go to the doors, people are like, well, you're a nice guy. Like, you're answering my questions. You're a nice guy. Like, she's full of crap, So
exactly.
We're just going to hustle all the way, and get this president reelected, of course. Hopefully Daniel Gaydon takes out Mark Warner, and we're going to win this district back. And get us back on the right track as a country.
All right, we're back with Scott Taylor, congressional candidate, former congressman, 2nd District, Virginia. He's going to win again. Elaine, Luria, is going to be a one-term congressman. Horrible constituent service. She's done nothing. And rioting, Virginia Beach, nowhere to be seen. Zero. Okay, this is from Andrew V. Horn in Glen Allen. Andrew says, hey, tell this to Scott Taylor. Did you notice how many times last night Mark Warner talked about working with President Trump? He didn't attack Trump at all. It was very apparent that they have numbers that show something the media is not telling us. Scott, what do you think of that?
I think that Dr. Gay did a fantastic job. Mark Warner understands. He understands that some of the folks that are in the middle there that are going to go Trump's way, he can't offend them. If he offends them, he's gone. And hopefully they just see right through it, because Mark Warner hasn't done anything either. I was on a Zoom call with him and an event, and he was talking about systemic racism. He's like, oh, if I wasn't a white guy and I failed twice in business, and only because I was white, I was able to get, the third time I succeeded, and just like nasty pandering, to folks. And I think that I hope that people see through Mark Warner. He's been there now and hasn't done anything. Every once in a while he pops his heads up and he sends like a letter and he gets a press conference, but that doesn't do anything. He's been also completely ineffective for the Commonwealth up there. So I hope that Daniel Gade pulls through.
All right. Also, Andrew says, the soccer mom housewives that I know all say how much they dislike President Trump, but they're all voting for him. No one outside of Southwest Virginia will admit to a pollster they're voting for Trump. So anything you get in the polls is going to be skewed for Biden, but it's not real. So kind of the same thing that you were saying, that just a lot of people that don't like Trump's personality, they don't like his tweets, they don't like his demeanor, they're coming back to him. And I think that's what the Christopher Newport University fake poll showed. I mean, Bitcoffer must have been just beside herself to have to put this out, right? That showing that Trump is within 5 of Biden. I've been telling everybody for weeks, Scott, you've been with me at these rallies. How long I've been saying it's 3.5 month and a half?
Yeah, you called it before anybody, John. And the reality is, I think that independents as well, who may not like his demeanor and everything, I think they're going to break his way, because you're looking at this binary choice, and you're like, okay, we got to get the country back going again. You got a guy who, and this is I'm not saying this is a political statement, but it looks very clearly like there's some cognitive decline there, right? With Joe Biden. I'm not saying that as a political statement. I'm just saying that that's what it looks like to me as a human being. And I understand that position as the president is very, very stressful, and it's not going to get easier for him. And, so people are looking at that guy like he's not the one that's going to pull us out of where we are right now and get this country back going again. And then they're looking at Donald Trump, who, tomorrow I think he's got like 5 events. He's thriving in this stuff. And
he's got 5 events.
He's boundless energy. He's a guy who I remember paraphrasing. I'm reading his book years ago when he said he was walking down the streets of New York. He was with somebody and he sees a homeless person. This was after the recession of the late '80s, early '90s.
This was his second wife. He was coming back from dinner with his second wife.
That's what it was. Okay, I just remember him again paraphrasing. He looks at a homeless person and he says, "Well, that person's $8 billion richer than me right now." And why I say that is, yeah, we got a huge sucker punch in this country, and we're down on our knees, right? But that's a guy who's going to get back up and keep going and bring us out of it. And you can't say the same for Joe Biden. And I just think intuitively, and people, when they're looking at that, independents are like, I might not like the dude, but he's going to get up and fight for me, and he's going to make things happen, because look what he's been able to accomplish with massive adversity the whole time, and still goes. And I'm looking at Joe Biden, and he can't even put out a sentence without looking at a teleprompter or something. So, look, I think independents are going to break his way. I think, John, you were spot on early on, and I think that people are underestimating these polls and the folks that are sitting there up in college rooms and just looking at data. People aren't data, right? Information leads to reason, but emotion leads to action. And I think people are going to move in his direction and reelect the president.
Scott, we're going to shock the world. We're going to win Virginia. I've been saying it for weeks. I'm telling you, everything is moving here in our direction. This is going to be the shocker of 2020. We're going to win Virginia. Scott, you're going back to Congress. Scott, I have the honor of introducing you tomorrow night at the rally. Can't wait. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, brother. See you tomorrow.
Scott Taylor's going back to Washington. See you, Elaine. John Fredericks Radio Network.